Hello and welcome to another edition of the Scoutcast from Fantasy Football Scout. My name is Joe.
And my name is Andy.
Hooray! Andy can hear me. This is a success, especially for those that listen to the captaincy podcast and watched the video this morning where for about 30 seconds I just kept doing my terrible David Bowie impression and asking Tom if he could hear me and whether he was there or not. And he eventually was, which was good. So welcome, Andy. What is coming up in the show?
So we're going to have a bit of a recap of Game Week 27 so far. Obviously, it's concluding tonight with pretty much everybody in the community having triple Burnley to look forward to tonight. We'll look back at... we're not going to look back. We're going to look forward to the next couple of fixture blocks. So we're going to look at game weeks 28 to 30 and those 3 weeks, and then look at game weeks 31 to 38 as well, because I feel like that's a good way of looking at it in terms of planning looking forward. We'll look at the best double game week 28 assets by position, which would be good to look at too. We're going to talk about how it fits into our strategy moving forward, because everybody's got different strategies at the moment, and we'll have some questions along the way. We'll look at a potential wildcard team for the community squad. I say it every week, I want them to wildcard, and they're finally listening to me. And then we've also going to have some quick fire questions at the end, because Joe forgot to do it last week.
It's true. I'm going to remember. Before we move on, just welcome all those that are joining us in the live chat early. My fellow resident in where I am in Somerset, Jeremy. Hello there. It's FPL jogger. Ian, Kerim, Niraj, John, and many more, and you as well. You just said good evening all. So welcome all you early birds there. Do press the like button, and welcome in advance to those that join us. Before we move on, I just wanted to give a special message to all our listeners and viewers in Ukraine at the moment who are facing obviously absolutely unimaginable horrors, and at the moment following the Russia's invasion, and it's absolutely scary, and every time I turn on the news it's so scary. I can't imagine what it must be like there. We got a message from Vanya, who was from the Meet the Manager series, who is in Ukraine as well, so he's at the moment in good spirits. So I put a shout out for questions, and he said he's actually in the top 200, by the way. Imagine that, top 200 at FPL, and you've got all that situation going on. So he said something like how to hold on to your top 200 overall rank position. That's his question, while under constant bombarding. I'm trying to joke because there's nothing left except it. Stay safe, everyone. That is a message from Vanya. So I'm so pleased that at the moment he's safe, and I wish him and his family and all those others in Ukraine the very best. Please be safe. Let's move on. We are going to look at game week 27 so far. We have another match to go. We're hoping that Burnley assets can save us, but we're doing okay. So I've got 54 points so far, which is around 20 points more than I would have got. But I have my captain, Weghorst. I've got Ben Mee and Pope to go. So yes, it's a success, but not the success you would perhaps think of, like 50 points more. But I consider that success because my actual team was so bad going into this. So I had to free hit. I had planned to free hit here. So I've got lots of Arsenal and Liverpool to come back into my team, so it's not looking too bad going forward. So I've got Pope in goal, Cancelo 9 points, Walker Peters I got in. I splashed the cash.
Great shot.
Got 9 points there. I've got Ben Mee, Son, another 9 points. Thank you very much. Sancho, he was my gamble, didn't pay off. He was actually benched. Mahrez, well, he was benched as well. Fernandes, he actually got me 3 points, and he missed, I can't remember how many it was. It was absolutely huge amount of chances, and he could have done me well. Up front, Kane, 11 points. Perhaps I should have captained him. I understand Seb did, who incidentally can't be with us tonight because of family commitments. I've got Weghorst, and I went for Brozier, but perhaps Che Adams, we'll talk about a bit more longer term, might be the better option. On my bench, just in case I needed them, I've got Gunn, Ramsey, Ben Johnson, because I realised that he was actually pretty much nailed on to start with Kufal being undergoing treatment. and he got 6 points. And Williams with his customary 0. So yeah, I feel pretty pleased with my free hit. So 20 points up, more to go hopefully tonight. Andy, let's have a look at your team. Do you want to run through who you've got? 51 points.
Yes.
So yeah, run through your team and your decisions.
Yeah, so 51 points. I was fairly happy with it once the Southampton game had finished. I had Livramento first on my bench, who got 8 points, and I was thinking that's lovely, just in case any of those City boys don't start. And I started with James Ward-Prowse rather than Brozier as well, which turned out okay, 1 point better off as well. I had Pope in goal, Tarkovsky, Bednarek, who literally was on the end of... it's Ben Mee just gone off, has he?
I know. Ben Mee's got me 1 point. That's classic. That's
nice.
Classic FPL.
That happened to me last year. That's why I went Tarkovsky this year.
Well, he could have gone out as well. You just
yeah. How'd
you guess that?
Oh God. I had Cancelo as well, and then I had Sancho and Mahrez. I did not see that coming at all. No. Did not see Sancho getting benched. No. Mahrez is playing night, which kind of makes you laugh a little bit. Sterling got me 3, Son got me 9, Ward-Prowse, and then Weghorst tonight is my captain, and I got Kane as well. Livramento 8 points on my bench is not amazing, but there you go.
Who would 51 points. You wouldn't have thought, I'm going to bench Sancho or Mahrez, would you? So
no, exactly, that's it. And I went for the upside, and I tussled between Ward-Prowse and Brozier for ages, and I went for Ward-Prowse in the end. But fairly happy with it. This was always my plan to wildcard to free hit this week, because obviously I have loads of Liverpool and Arsenal players and that in my team, so they'll be coming back next week, and I'll be looking to bench boost this week, so it'd be quite good to see see what happens. Looking good.
Ben Mee, I'm getting conflicting things from the live chat. We're not actually watching the game, but so in the live chat, Ben Mee is performing the FPL Hokey Cokey. He was out, now he's back in, and then oh dear, unlucky me owners, he's back on again. Is he out? I don't know. Weghorst now
they're
injured.
saying Weghorst is down.
Oh, you're joking me. This is just... I don't even know why we bother.
No.
Oh, Weghorst now down. Oh, no, he's got to get up. Oh. Anyway.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what... I don't even know what to believe anymore. So it's all down to Nick Pope. So... Okay, let's move on. It's so disheartening, isn't it, when your captain is like everyone's saying, oh no, he's like, his legs have fallen off or whatever. Okay, let's move on. Just scrolling down the notes. So yeah, we're going to look. Yeah, you mentioned in the intro that we're going to look at sort of some fixture blocks, really. And I thought it was important to look ahead first of all before we decide what to do. Look ahead to game week 31 to 38, because that's the sort of a fixture block when some people will be wildcarding, and also everyone like yourself and Seb who've wildcarded recently, you're all sort of geared up for this period. And then I know on Twitter when people ask, what are you going to do after game week 30? It's just like a big shrug. I don't know. I hope for the best.
Yeah.
And I think I might get some Chelsea and Leicester players in. So we'll have a look at that and see what's going on. On the screen we've got the season ticker for game week 31 to 38, and it's sorted by difficulty, and it's at Arsenal at top. They've got Crystal Palace, Brighton, Southampton, Leeds, Newcastle, Everton amongst that as well. Tottenham are next. Newcastle, Villa, Brighton, Brentford, Burnley and Norwich amongst their teams they've got. Leicester themselves got Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Villa, Watford, Southampton, Everton, so some right fixtures there. Then Chelsea got lots of games in hand. They got Brentford, Southampton, Leeds, Everton, lots of really tasty fixtures there. So those 4 teams are probably the teams we should be targeting for those who've got a wildcard game week 31-ish. And for those that haven't got a wild card, it might pay to start looking at getting some of these players in. So Tottenham, I don't know how are you set up, because you've got Kane, so very handy. Yep. And looking to get any others.
Yeah, I've got Kane. I've got triple Arsenal, so that's going to do me absolutely fine after game week 30. Triple Liverpool as well, and it's the Trent, Robbo, and Salah triple up, which I absolutely love as well. So I feel like the core of my team is set up well for after game week 30. I think the thing a lot of us are going to be looking for is whether Chelsea are doubling in 28, because I think if they're doubling in 28, I think a lot of people are going to jump straight onto a Chelsea defensive asset. I think those people with wildcards are probably going to want them not to double, because they want to be jumping on them and making the most of it after game week 30. Whereas if they double in 28, all of a sudden 50% of people are going to try and jump on some kind of Chelsea asset because the fixtures are going to be lovely in 28. And I don't think then the advantage from people with wildcard are going to get the most out of it after game week 30, or not as much as they want to anyway. So, I feel fairly well set up. I'd love the fact that Chelsea and Leicester are the teams that we're going to be wanting to target after game week 30, because you want that, don't you? You want the players that nobody else really has yet, if that makes sense. So, I mean, which Chelsea and Leicester assets to target is another subject completely, but
definitely. Well, I mean, I've got my eye on Rudiger and Maddison. I think they're fairly locks in my wildcard team. I could be looking at possibly going for Kane in order to move a cheeky move to Vardy when needs be, and if there's a double there. When Spurs aren't involved, which there should be, because looking at the number of matches to rearrange post 30, you've got Leicester have got 3, and then Chelsea and Arsenal and Burnley and Everton will have 2, and then Villa, Norwich and Spurs will still have a double game week as well, and that's not to include any other potential double game weeks from any other further postponements. These are definitely good teams to target. Meanwhile, in the season ticker we've got on the screen there, I'm just reading the live chat to see me looks like he might be going off now finally. And I'm not sure about Weghorst. Everyone's geeing him on to walk it off. I think they'd say that if his legs fell off. They'd say keep doing it. But yeah, the teams with the worst fixtures, Everton. So whilst they do have double fixtures, double game weeks, they've got Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester United, West Ham. So they've got some tricky games. Newcastle, their fixtures fall off a cliff. They do have Norwich, and then they finish with Burnley, which could end up being a relegation scrap game. But they've also got Tottenham, Liverpool, City, Arsenal, Leicester, Wolves, so not the greatest of fixtures. Watford, as we know, they've got a mixed bag. They've got Liverpool, City, and Chelsea in amongst their last remaining games, and Villa as well. They do have this nice little run from 35 to 37, which could coincide with a double as well. So they've got Norwich, Burnley, and Crystal Palace. But around that, they've got Liverpool, Leicester, Tottenham, City, Wolves. I mean, it's not great. Wolves fixtures. Pretty mixed bag, really. They've still got City, Chelsea and Liverpool to play. And then Southampton, their fixture's not so good. Well, I don't know. They've got Chelsea, Arsenal and Liverpool, but they do have Leeds, Brighton, Crystal Palace, Brentford, so in amongst that. So a mixed bag there. But as we can see, it's all of Arsenal, Tottenham, Leicester, Chelsea, Crystal Palace for some cheaper players, I think. Although they won't have a double, it's nice. The likes of Gallagher could still come into my thoughts. Definitely. I'm still looking at the live chat. Do let us know if Ben Mee's finally shaken it all about and gone off. And do let us know if Weghorst is with his no legs is still carrying on. Let's have a look at fixtures 28 to 30. So this is where you come into your element because you wildcarded recently.
Yes.
So this is your moment.
It is.
So I'll put this up on the screen. I don't know if you've got any notes or your screen. Do you want to sort of run through the teams that are brilliant to target and the teams that we should be avoiding?
Yeah, no props. So it's really interesting looking at this, and obviously a lot of people are going to be looking at what other people say and they're not thinking about your strategy. And I think you've got to be thinking about game week 30 when you're thinking about, what players you want to bring in and who has the best runs and things like that. Game week 30 is obviously going to be a massive blank game week. We're going to know for definite who's going to be blanking at the end of today, end of tomorrow, I think it is. And when you're looking at it, Newcastle have got a double game week, which is amazing, absolutely lovely. But obviously they don't play in 30, and then as we've just seen, their fixtures fall off a cliff. So yes, you can target someone like Newcastle in those 2 double game weeks, but are you going to be wanting those players after that? And the answer is probably no.
Newcastle could be ideal for those that have got a wild card in hand for 31, and also fancy using their free, and they're just not set up for 30 anyway, and just and fancy using a free chip then. So it could be those for those players.
I think if you're either already well set up for game week 30, or you're free hitting in 30 and wildcard in 31, I think Newcastle players are perfect, literally perfect. Getting players like Willock in, St. Maximan in, Dubravka in, they're absolutely perfect because they're going to have 4 fixtures in 2 weeks. In terms of players that are going to play all of those 4 games, I mean, Dubravka, you would have thought would do, and then probably Willock is probably up there as well. Southampton, gorgeous fixtures as well. I think Southampton players are fine to own, considering they play in game week 30 as well. They've got Aston Villa and Newcastle this week coming up. I would say fairly tough opposition now, actually. I think Villa people don't score a lot of goals past Villa, and obviously Newcastle are definitely shoring up defensively as well. Wolves are another one. They've got lovely fixtures as well. They've got a double this week, Crystal Palace and Watford at home. You'd fancy that for some clean sheets. And then as you go down, Watford, fourth in the ticker.
It's what you love to see. People love to see it. It's because they all want the Dennis King combo. They love it. I love it.
They are the most dangerous players this year because people keep holding on to him, and they shouldn't be.
The
really
year is 2050, and Joe still owns Josh King.
And then you've got loads of double game weeks in 29 as well. So Arsenal have a double game week in 29, so do Everton, so do Spurs. Chelsea, their fixtures look lovely. They could have a double game week this week as well, which I think a lot of people will jump on. Leeds is the interesting one. They've got Leicester away and Aston Villa at home, and then Norwich next week as well in 29. But obviously they've got a new manager. So there's lots of good teams you can target there. I think Newcastle you can target if your team is pretty well set up for game week 30 anyway. But apart from that, Southampton, Wolves, Arsenal players, I think they're absolutely fine to target, really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got we'll show our bus teams a bit later. But last week I sort of spent some hits a week or so ago to maximise my Liverpool and Arsenal players, because I did see Arsenal as being quite key here. They play in 30, they have a double, plus they have good fixtures around it as well, and they're really good assets to have. I look at my team with Saka and Ramsdale, and I feel like it's quite relaxing. I just feel Ramsdale's there, that's okay, and Saka's there, he'll probably get a goal. I've got Martinelli there as well as a sort of cheap differential. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, I do too.
As we'll see later on the goals imminent table, he could be imminent. I find Chelsea interesting. They do have Burnley, and they could have Norwich. Well, they pretty much will have Norwich this double game week. They 29. They have got Newcastle, and then they miss out on game week 30. But then they've got all those great fixtures that we just talked about. So they are absolutely ideal if you've got a free hit in 30. Just load up on Chelsea. If you've got no wild card, get your Chelsea in now.
My worry about Chelsea is, who do you get? Like, Rudiger is going to be the most popular option because he is pretty much nailed where he is. There's nobody else that can play in that position for Chelsea, really. And apart from that, like, Tuchel's even come out today and said they were overplayed. All of them are overplayed. I'm going to have to be swapping them in all around, all over the place. And you just think, attacking wise, I don't think we can go anywhere, really. I don't think you can go for Lukaku. I think Mount, Havertz, all those kind of players are going to be rotated quite a lot. James is only just back, and it looks like he's overtired now already again as well. I think he said he should have only played 20 minutes and he played 70. So it's Rudiger or Mendy, really, the only two you're looking at. But I suppose, which Chelsea assets were we having at the beginning of the season anyway? And it was their defensive assets, wasn't it? So maybe that is the only way we can go, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I don't like their attack. But if someone said, Mason Mount's going to play every game, straight in my team, I'll be captaining him. Not a problem. But I don't know. I don't know whether he's going to play. And in my free hit week I've just had with the likes of Mahrez in it, I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to have the likes of Mahrez every week because I don't know whether they're going to play. But I do want the likes of, say, Son or Kane or Salah, because I know that they may miss out very rarely. But I don't have any fears around them. We had a question around the. We'll kind of feed in all the questions as we go along. But our own contributor and moderator Red Lightning asks, for those who only have a bench boost and second free hit still available, when would be the best time to play them? Well, once again, it's going to depend on what you got, what players you've got. Yeah. But if you're not well set up for game week 30, then use that time now to get good players in for the rest of the season, and you can just use your free. So, for example, Chelsea players, you can use your free. Newcastle players, if you wanted to get them in now, although not so good later on. But you don't have to worry about game week 30 or game week 36. That's going to be a big double, we anticipate. Game week 33 won't be a big blank, I don't anticipate, because there could still be some fixtures to rearrange there, which will effectively give everyone a single, if you see what I mean. But we'll have to wait and see for that. So game week 36 could be good for the bench boost, I think. But yeah, depends how well set up. It's like how long's a piece of string, but hopefully that answers it a little.
Yeah, it's also I was always quite against using bench boost in 36, just because you need to keep a strong 15 all the way up to 36, whereas I've saved the free hit for that one. I want to use bench boost in 28 or 28 because the fixtures are nice, and the single game week fixtures are nice in 28 as well, so that's why I've wanted to use it then. But obviously it depends which way round you are, exactly like Joe just said.
I think this season I'm going to play it slightly differently. I usually do that method you just, because I don't really like bench boosting, because you're right, it does alter how you look at it. You feel like you have to have a good bench all the time, and you end up with lots of bench points most weeks because you only use it once. But I think I might do it differently this season, because there are a number of teams like Villa, Norwich, Spurs, Chelsea, Everton, Arsenal, Burnley, Leicester, all got a double game week. They might not all have a double game week at the same time. And so I'd like to have, say for example, a Villa defender on my bench. Probably wouldn't play them. Their fixtures aren't great, apart from that little run, the 35 to 37. So I wouldn't mind like a Villa defender just on my bench. And then when I need them for a double or they're a good fixture, and they come. So I might do it like that. So that's what I hope to do with the wildcard. So for example, even a Burnley defender, not Ben Mee, because I think it's Ben Mee finally gone off. To be honest, I'm quite glad that, because I don't think I can handle 25 minutes of Ben Mee on and off, and just that's gone now. Leghorst, I don't know whether he's still playing. He's still
he's still on.
Yep. Okay.
You say that though. I that's how I thought with Ramsey. So I got Ramsey on my wild card, and it was exactly the same thought. Is that I could just have him on my bench, but as soon as there's a double, you put him straight in, and he's got that ability to score as well. He's perfect, isn't he?
Anthony Gordon at Everton. Another great shout for that as well. And Arsenal, they're full of cheap ones. I'm thinking of Ben White. I mean, I do have Martinelli, Saka, and Ramsdale. I'm actually thinking of doing something like Ramsdale, Ben White, and Saka post wildcard, because Ben White's just really handy. I don't have to. He's handy for a double. He's handy when Arsenal have a really good fixture. But you're quite happy to bench him because you've got Ramsdale as well. And I quite like that. It gives a bit of flexibility as well, because I don't know who my other goalkeeper would be. You mentioned
with Ramsdale.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think mine's.
Ramsdale and Sanchez is a quite good pairing.
Yes.
While you're there, I think the internet was going a bit funny. I'm just going to stop my video for you. Everyone else can see it though, but you can still hear me. I'm just channeling a bit more juice into the system.
Yeah. Sanchez and Ramsdale do rotate really nicely until the end of the season now, really. And it's why I picked them on the thing on my wildcard, because I thought, well, I don't really have to worry about them too much then. And to be honest, Ramsdale's the one I'm going to pick most of the time. And I think it's only in 34? Just trying to look where Brighton's fixture is in 34. Yeah, Brighton play Southampton in 34. So that's why, because Arsenal play Man United. So it kind of, Arsenal's fixtures, 7 out of the last 8 is lovely anyway. But yeah, it does kind of work quite nicely.
Yeah. Definitely. Hey, let's have a look at some players. So Benby's finally gone off. Pope's doing very well. Mixed fortune so far. Annoying, but let's hope Veghorst can do something. To be honest, just staying on the pitch will do me at the moment. Let's have a look at the best double game week 28 assets. We're going to do it by position. So let's look at the best forwards, because people might be in the market for a forwards and they want someone with a double game week here. So let's have a look here. Who are the best ones? Well, on the screen, for the benefit of those listening to the podcast version, I've sorted this by expected goal involvement, and Che Adams is top of the tree. He is the best of the double game week forwards. He is expected to have been involved in 3 goals. Dennis is just behind him, so I'm going to keep Dennis and play him. He's expected to be involved in a couple of goals. Borussia is just behind, expected to be involved in a bit over a goal. And then St. Maximum, should he be fit. Raul Jimenez, expected goal involvement of 1. And then there's a couple of also rans. Watkins, who could be a bit better now, because Villa are playing 2 up front. Watkins is perceived to be the more nailed of those 2. So that could work out in his favour, unless for Coutinho, for example. And then there's Chris Wood there as well, just below, expected to be involved in a goal. But I think what this shows is that Adams is the clear favourite amongst forwards if you're going to captain or get one in. Borussia and Dennis could get you something, but it's Jimenez and who's quite low down really. So yeah, what's your thinking around forwards for this double game week?
Yeah, so most likely I'll be getting Adams in this week. I really like the stats behind him. And to be honest, watching that Norwich game as well, Brozier was really on the periphery. And I was watching it and I wasn't overly impressed. If I was only bringing somebody in based on that game, it wouldn't be Brozier out of everybody. So I did quite like the look of Adams. I thought he was getting in and about, and I feel like the stats kind of back up picking him. It's a big outlay, though. 1.4 million more than Brozier. And Brozier's got the effective ownership behind him as well. If that move goes wrong, it is going to hurt you a bit. But I feel like the numbers are going with Adams a bit. Dennis, I'm not going to talk about, because I've spoken about these Watford boys so much. I think they're awful. So I'm not going to talk about those anymore. St. Maximan, if he was nailed on fit and was definitely going to play in those next 4 games in the next 2 weeks, I would love to have him in my team.
Yeah, he'd be good.
But he's not going to, is he? His legs are made of poppadoms, aren't they? So I don't think he's going to be playing in those. Jimenez, I've never been a fan of. No. Just because Wolves don't score enough goals for me. I'm a fan of him long term because he used to be the postman who delivered, but he never delivered that much. I just always think for his price as well, there's always so many better options around his price point. And I don't know. I've always struggled with someone like him. Wood is somebody though. He's basically Jimenez, but he's obviously got four fixtures.
The New Zealand Jimenez.
Yeah, exactly. So Wood is somebody I can get behind just because of the fixtures he's got. Watkins again, though, I don't think I'm that keen on Watkins either. If it were me, out of all these lot, I would make sure I've got someone like Kane still in the single game week, and Adams. I think they're the 2 for me that I really like the look of.
Yeah, I think. I just have Dennis and Watkins. So for me, they're not. For me, those 2 aren't sells because they've got a double game week. But I've had them for a while because I haven't wildcarded yet. So for me, they're not sells. But Josh King is obviously nowhere near this list, so he is a sell. So if I go into this with Adams, Dennis, and Watkins, I've got. Some of the well, I say that some of the best double game week ones, but you mentioned Kane as well. Now Spurs, I'm not sure how they're doing, but I was listening to I think it was Planet FPL podcast with James, who's a Spurs fan, and he was pointing out something which I think we all know anyway. With Conte's teams, it sort of alternates. If you've got lots of games, so you've got a midweek game and then a weekend game, because they're so high intensity, particularly with the fullbacks. They have a really good game, and then you think, oh, same old Spurs, they lose or draw, and then, oh my God, aren't they incredible? Son and Kane breaking records, and then so it's possible they might be having that tonight. In which case, that means that they're going to absolutely slaughter Everton the weekend.
That'd be nice.
So yeah, my transfers I'm considering, if I can do it, which I might be a bit tight for money, but is Josh King and Fernandes out for Che Adams and Son. I want one of Son and Kane. Now, if Southampton have got a fixture in game week 30, I will try and make that move, because then that gives me a good captain for this week, I think, in Che Adams, and it gives me a good captain for next week in Son, if I don't want to captain Salah, who is obviously the best captain. So there's some choice here, but I think we had some comments in the live chat. I think it was Sam who was saying that Brogier's in a lot of teams, but Che Adams is the one probably to get at the moment.
I do wonder sometimes as well, like Che Adams is starting to get a little bit of hype as well, and I feel like people are starting to notice that he's doing well, and sometimes this happens and then teams figure out that it's Adams that's the danger man, and Brozier gets a bit more space, and then all of a sudden Brozier goes on a bit of a run. So, and obviously Brozier's done it this season, but do you know what? When I was looking at the free hit, I was looking at Brozier, and don't get me wrong, it's 5.5 million, but his returns they're not amazing. Like you're not looking at his returns and thinking, oh yeah, this is like every other week. You know, it's not like that, and neither's Adams obviously. So that's why they're the price they are. But I just think, temper your expectations to both of them. But if you go Brozier over Adams because you can only afford Brozier, that's absolutely fine. The fixtures are there. But I think based on the stats, if you were only doing it based on the stats, then Adams is the only way you can go at the moment, really.
Yeah. And as you were saying, do keep aware of the FA Cup games this week and game week 30. So if, like me, you haven't got a free hit and don't want a wildcard in game week 30, the Southampton players lose their appeal, which would be annoying, because I think they are, this double game week, head and shoulders above all of the others in terms of assets to bring in short term. So we had a couple of questions. FPL Dino, who's the best cheap players for the next few game weeks? I'm on a wild card. I need options as placeholders. So we mentioned a few there. Adams is 6.9, but Brogier's only 5.5. So could be a good asset there. Amongst the strikers, but I think there's more midfielders we could be looking at for some real cheap bargains, and so we move on to them. So double game week midfielders. Once again, I'm just done the double game weekers, and it's Fraser at Newcastle. I couldn't find a good picture of him, so I've just found the only picture we have of him. He looks about 100 years old in this picture. So for the benefit of those listening to the podcast, Ryan Fraser looks about 100 years old in this picture. He's expected goal involvement is 2, expected goal involvement 2. He's only 5.3. I think if you're going to invest in this Newcastle 4 games in 2 weeks, Fraser could be the one to get. Even if he's benched for one of them, I wouldn't mind, because he comes on, he gets involved. Elianusi at Southampton, 5.4. So this once again looks at Dino's question about cheap assets. Ward-Prowse 6.5. He's probably the one. He could be a good captaincy shout as well. And then Pulisic is next in this expected goal involvement last 4 midfielders. Then Stuart Armstrong 5.8, once again cheap. Willock 5.7 is a bit further down the list. Jacob Ramsey 4.8, expected goal involvement of 1.15. And then much further down you've got the likes of Coutinho and McGinn. So I look at these stats and I look at the way Villa play. Coutinho could score, could obviously score or assist, but I think Ramsey's probably the one I'd get. Would you do that if someone didn't have either at the moment and he was considering one?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think Ramsey is such good value, 4.8 million. I think it was interesting what you picked up on earlier about the fact Villa starting to play 2 up top, and I think it's hurting Coutinho a little bit, because before, obviously, just the 1 up top, Coutinho was that foil behind him, and he was obviously getting forward. Whereas I think now with those 2 up top, they can't have that player just behind the strikers. So Coutinho's dropping back a little bit more, and I think Ramsey, for his price, for 4.8 million, he's already shown that if he gets a little sight on goal, he can do some damage as well. if it was a choice between the two, I'd be over Ramsey all day long.
Yeah.
In fact, I've even mentioned him as a potential captaincy candidate this week as well.
I mean, if depending on what moves I make, if I take a -4, I'm going to take a -4, but it could turn into a -8. And I've got all the Fernandes cash. I mean, there is the option of going Fernandes to Ramsey and then seeing what I can make of it. I mean, I could get Josh King to Harry Kane. That's one hell of an upgrade. From King to Kane. Phil Byrne asked earlier on Twitter, Newcastle seem to have hit good form of late and now have 2 consecutive double game weeks. Who are the best picks in our opinion? Well, I would say Fraser is the one, and Willock is an outside chance there, but it's really Fraser. Expected goal involvement is so high for a Newcastle player.
Yeah, it's interesting actually, because I didn't think we'd be talking about Ryan Fraser, but Willock for me, I think I like it. I do like the idea of it. The only worry for me is that with Saint Maximin back, does that hurt Willock a little bit? Does he get into the spaces where Willock would be? And I wonder whether Willock is making the most of Saint Maximin's absence, if that makes sense. Whereas Fraser, I mean, he's starting to show what he was like under Howe the first time around with Bournemouth, and I feel like once he's got his swagger there, I mean, every interview Fraser does at the moment is I hated Steve Bruce basically, and he's just getting his swagger back a bit, and I think he is one of those players that could just be going completely under the radar. And I think if it was out of the two and I had to pick which one now, I think I probably would go Fraser as well, which sounds mad, but I think it is the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, once again, for me, no free hit in game week 30. Newcastle don't play in game week 30. So I think if you got a free hit, Newcastle and Fraser, I think I think Fraser would be one of my top targets, weirdly, if I could free hit in game week 30. Because of just the quantity of games, and he's so involved for a Newcastle player. But I like them. I'm put off Villa. I already have Watkins. I think I'm going to stick to that. But it's once again it's Southampton players, Ward-Prowse. Elianusi is 5.4, which I think if he was 4 point something, 4.5 or 8 or something, I might consider, but not entirely sure.
Yeah, I liked it against Norwich. He looked handy. He was the one getting forward and taking shots and things. But he's always that player you think, oh, is he going to start every game? And you're going to be waiting at the beginning of every fixture, thinking, is he going to be playing? The one that we haven't mentioned here is Rafinha. Obviously, he's the big question mark because fixtures are lovely, price is lovely. We know he's the talisman. We know he's an elite talent as well. But we don't really know what we're getting with this new manager. We know that he is quite an attacking manager, and he's not exactly going to shore up the defence. So for me, I'm looking at getting Rafinha in this week because the fixtures are too nice to ignore. But he is somebody, if you don't have him, I mean, 6.5 million is still a bargain for somebody that's a talisman for what can be an attacking team, isn't it?
Well, once again, for me, no free hit in game week 30, plays in game week 30, got a double coming up. Yeah, it's worth a go, definitely for me. Obviously, if you've got Rafinha, keep him. But I think you can afford to look elsewhere. But yeah, I think he is, just because, as you said, it's a new manager. We don't know. I mean, he could get a huge score. He could get benched. I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
But I think there is lots and lots of cheap options there. Russ also asked, should we really be chasing double game weekers when they're such complete pony, the whole lot of them? So we will come to that in a bit. We've got another table, which is the proper table, which is simply the best players in terms of expected goal involvement going into this over the last 4. Let's have a look at defenders. Do you want to? I'll put this up on screen. Do you want to read out who's sort of? I mean, I stopped at Kraft. It just didn't work going beneath Kraft because he's meant to have been involved in 2/3 of a goal, and beyond that it was as Russ said, complete pony. So in terms of attacking defenders, expected goal involvement, who's top and who are the ones to target?
Yeah, so we got Reece James at the top. And Reece James is such a good one, obviously, if they've got a double game week. It's a risky play, I think, because there's no guarantee he's going to play both games, let alone, there's no guarantee he's going to play one game, let alone both. Walker Peters is second. Walker Peters looked very, very good against Norwich, I would say.
Yeah.
He's getting forward, and he seems to be that one that is getting forward like we want him to. So I think he's a good shout. Personally, Livramento is third. Livramento 1.33 XGI for the last 4 games. Again, absolutely fine. He obviously was starting to lose his place a little bit and had a few injuries and things. Peroud, whatever his name is in the background still. But I think Livramento is his place to lose, really. Then it's Mings after that, and then Target and Kraft.
Yeah.
I think for me, those Southampton defenders, if you want to put one in your team and then keep him on your bench to the end of the season, there is nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Reece James, for me, I think is too much of a gamble at the moment. I think you're going to be... It's 6.2 million. He's barely dropped. I don't know how he hasn't dropped since we all owned him.
Yes,
I think he's gone down in about 20-30% in ownership.
He's gone from like a million, 100% ownership to like 1.
I know. I don't know how... But anyway, still 6.2 million. I think I'd be going Rudiger. Just Reece James... Yes, he's got the XGI. He's all the stats, and he looks so good when you own him. But for me, it's too much of a gamble personally. Yeah. And then the rest of them, I'm not really a massive fan of Mings, Target, or Kraft. But you could tell me something different.
No, I'm not either. I mean, I think they're more here to show that if you're getting a defender in, I mean, the bread and butter is clean sheets. So Rudiger would be the ideal one, especially if you've got a free hit in game week 30, or you can afford to bench him then. But yeah, I think he would be the ideal one just for security of starts and getting those two fixtures in, and they're good fixtures: Burnley against and Norwich. Reece James, as you said, we had some questions on this. Pete Alloway asked, "Is it too early to be considering Reece James? Better to play safe with Rudiger?" Well, yes, probably. You might get some spectacular returns, but I don't think we're going to get the minutes for him. Yeah. FPL Rover says the best Chelsea triple up on a free hit. Now that's intriguing, isn't it? Someone paying the free hit in game week 28, so they can afford to triple up. They can do their version of the Mahrez. Will they play? Won't they? Well, let's give it a go. I would
if they double, I like it. Yeah, really like it.
I would go. So we've already had a look at the midfielders. There was only one Chelsea player in there. Just put that back up on screen, and it was Pulisic. He is just below Ward-Prowse, so that's what you're looking for. A sort of just below Ward-Prowse type player in terms of minutes and expected goal involvement. So I mean, sorry, not in minutes. Ward-Prowse is just untouchable when it comes to minutes. What I mean is in terms of actual returns, FPL returns. Yeah, going to get there.
It's funny, actually, if I were to go for any Chelsea midfielder right now, and I've still got memories of game week 9 in my head, but I think it'd be Havertz I'd go for at the moment, because he's the one that obviously creeps forward when Lukaku's not there. And I think if I weren't so scarred and weren't so worried about rotation with this Chelsea side at the moment, I think it is Havertz is the way I'd go.
Yeah. So FPL Rover, you can take some risks. You could get Rudiger, and you could go Havertz and Pulisic, or Pulisic and Mount, Havertz and Mount. You can really mix it up a bit there. Or you could play it safe and get something like... The one, because I'm a dullard, that I would go for is I would go for Mendy and Rudiger. I think you've got the best chance of a double clean sheet. So it's double clean sheets, quadruple clean sheets from just 2 players. Meanwhile, and then just take a punt on Pulisic. And that's definitely what I would do. Karam asks, ex-Scoutcaster, and can you guys chat about the potential of Alonso captain should Chelsea get the double 28? I would say you could, but I wouldn't captain, and I wouldn't take that risk because when they play 4 at the back, you don't know whether he's going to play. So no, not so keen. But yeah, Reece, for just everyone, Reece James and one of those Southampton defenders, Walker Peters, if you can afford him. Livramento, I've got Livramento in my team, so I'm happy there. I'm going to play him. I think I might have the vice captaincy on him currently as well. That's how much I like him. So, but the rest really is sort of, you're looking at for clean sheets. Really, you might not get attacking returns. So we had that question earlier about all basically saying they're all rubbish. Double game week. So these are what we're looking at here. Best players last 4. Well, guess who's top? It's Mo Salah. Expected to be involved in 5 goals. That's more like it. None of this 2 goal, 1.5 goal malarkey. Salah nearly 5 goals. Then you got Foden, who seemingly does play, and then Fernandes. But Foden and Fernandes play each other. It's hard to call. Manchester derby. Kane expected to be involved in over 3 goals. Then Sterling, Mane. Che Adams is the only double game week player on this list, which is another tick in my box there for him. So then you've got Ronaldo, Lacazette and Sancho as the sort of also-rans. But all of those are expected to be involved in around 3 goals or more. So much, much more than all the other players that we've been talking about. But of this lot here, Salah, I think, could be quite the captaincy. I hear he's good. And Kane as well, especially if Spurs are in one good, one bad game cycle.
Yeah.
And they're in the good bit this weekend. I think Kane could be good. And Son, obviously, who could be involved. But yeah, so, I mean, my bus captain's on Salah at the moment. If I, don't make any moves. But I think he could be the best.
I'm so torn on it. I've always been a fixtures guy in terms of like I'm looking at Rafinha and Adams and thinking, the fixtures are quite nice, and going for a double game week player is what you want to do. But I mean, it's Salah, isn't it? The stats are behind him. He's just come off a mega haul against Leeds as well, and you just look at it and think that's probably the sensible play, isn't it? But do you know what? I was talking to somebody the other day about, because I'm just looking at some of the other players down this table, and do you know what? Man United are set to explode in a fixture soon. It's just such a shame their fixtures are so horrific for the next couple of weeks. Like, and when I say horrific, I mean even in the Champions League. We've got such a hard run coming up now that you're going to be wanting to get rid of Bruno and Ronaldo and players like that. But stats-wise, the stats are so behind them. We're creating so many chances every game. We just can't finish at the moment. No. But I think there really is a case this week to potentially captain a single game week player because they are the ones in form. And like you said, Salah against West Ham at home. I think West Ham beat Liverpool last time they played each other, didn't they? But I think it's hard to not back somebody like Salah in any fixture this week, even against players that have double game weeks. So, it's something we can definitely have a look at. And also, Mr. Raheem in brackets Sterling is on there again.
We still don't know why he's in brackets. But nevertheless, also I think if Weghorst doesn't do anything, because he's a huge ownership, I was quite surprised. It's like
massive.
A huge effective ownership of 158%, which shows how many people own and are captaining him. But if he blanks again, well, people will look at the likes of Kane with his 11 points, and indeed Salah, and think, well, why am I not captaining these people? Why am I messing around with Ryan Fraser and Che Adams and the such like? So that's probably a decision I'll come to. Salah or Che Adams. That genuinely will be my main decision this week for the armband, Salah or Che Adams.
By the way, just very quickly, Sam's mentioned in the chat about I said that, but I bet I captain a double game week player. Yes, that's why I said we should probably be captaining Salah rather, because double game, you've got to go for it. You've got to go for the upside, which is why I always do it, which is why I've got it on Weghorst this week. But just looking at it, form and player, like you should probably be going with Salah, just like the sensible people went with Kane this week.
Yes, Seb, who can't be here, he captained Kane, so because he's far more sensible than we are. Let's have a look at the whipping boys. These are the worst defences over the last 4. So I showed this in the captaincy video earlier today, so I'll just quickly look at this again. This shows that Norwich are the worst in terms of expected goals conceded. Expected to conceded 11.52 goals. Leeds just behind them. But Leeds have conceded 17, which is why Bielsa's no longer there. Because they are absolutely by miles, in terms of goals conceded, the worst defence at the moment. The whipping boys, the ones to target. Tottenham expected to have conceded 7, well over 7, but have actually only conceded 5. So perhaps been marginally lucky there. And then further down the list, Liverpool, Newcastle, Arsenal, Chelsea and City the best defences. And what's interesting, so City, Chelsea, okay, Liverpool, okay, Arsenal, Newcastle. Only Liverpool have a better defence than Newcastle in terms of expected goals conceded. They've only conceded 2 goals in their last 4, which is quite something. So perhaps those with Target or Dubravka, they could feel quite happy. They might get some returns there. But yeah, we spoke last week, didn't we, with Seb, because he got Dubravka in. Another sensible move. And here's the proof. Got the stats to back it up.
I said it a couple of weeks ago, didn't I, about how good they were looking at home, and with that home crowd behind them, and it looks like a place people aren't wanting to play. I think it was after they played Villa, and Trippier scored the free kick, and it was just that Villa just looked rattled the whole time they were there, really. And they've got the stats to back it up now as well. Obviously, fixtures haven't been too bad for them, but it's I think it's obviously interesting to look at that. Very, very interesting that 5th worst defence at the moment in terms of goals conceded or expected goals conceded is Wolves. Now, it's something that I've always said makes SAR so good, is that they do concede a lot of chances, but they are starting to regress quite a bit at the moment. And I think if I already owned one Wolves defender, I don't think I'd be going for another one at the moment. Even though they've got the double and they've got a game in 30, I don't think I'd be going for another one at the moment.
When I
SAR's still the best one.
Yeah, when I wildcarded back in game week, whatever it was, 4, I got Cody in, and I got 2. I think I loaded up on Wolves, and I regretted it, except having Cody in at the time, because then they got their customary clean sheets around Christmas time. But now it's looking like they're drying up. And you mentioned about SAR. So if people are in the market for a goalkeeper, in terms of expected goals prevented, which is how many goals they are actually preventing being scored, over the last 4, Pickford is in fact the best. And he's got a save every 15 minutes, so he's a busy lad. But just behind him is Jose Sarr with 18. He's prevented well over 2 goals over the last 4. So yeah, you're right. If you want save points, Sarr's your man, because the defence is not that great, but Sarr is, which is sort of the perfect double game week goalkeeper, I would say, because you're going to get lots of points.
Leeds obviously as well. I don't massively see them improve. They'll probably improve a little bit. Because they've been so bad recently, like they can't get any worse. But they've been a cheat code recently. When teams are playing against Leeds, you target them and you capture them. And it's proved really fruitful for the last 3-4 weeks. But I personally think that they're probably going to tighten up a little bit, and they're probably not going to be the team to massively target. But I still think they're going to leak goals, because I think with their injuries and the way this manager is going to come in and play, they're probably going to be attack first. Interesting.
When I was looking at the expected goals prevented, so we mentioned that Pickford and Sarr are the best over the last 4. The worst is Meslier, as you would expect.
Really?
Well, I say as you expect, because Sarr is in a pretty poor defence at the moment, not as poor as Leeds, and is preventing those goals. But Meslier is not. He's actually costing them goals. He's actively not preventing. It's a big minus figure for him. So perhaps that's something for the new manager to look at. Let's have a look. We had a question from DM me. Gray or Martinelli on a wild card? So I have the answer to that via the goals imminent table. And that shows that Martinelli is on that table. So this is last 4 matches. It's sorted by looking. Well, shots in the box is a good indicator of this one. It's sorted by something which I haven't shown on here. It's something complicated involving delta and XGI and things like that. But it's massively boring. Shots inside the box is something people understand much more, and you can see what's been happening here. So Lacazette is top of this table, 15 shots inside the box, but I think he's only had a goal or an assist for that. Ronaldo, will he score? 5 big chances missed, 10 shots inside the box, 5 on target. And then Martinelli, also 10 shots inside the box, just 2 on target. So we see his issue there. Maddison, which is why, even though he was benched tonight, should be under consideration for the remainder of the season. Bernardo Silva, we could see a renaissance of him. Then Cancelo, and I've got a picture of Cancelo to go with this because Cancelo got his 9 points from bonus and clean sheet last time out, but every time I watch him I think, why have I not got 30 points from this guy? He's amazing. He's so good, and a few people are thinking of getting rid of him. Is it you thinking of getting rid of him?
Maybe.
Oh, you madman.
Yeah, no, I know. It's the lure of those double game weeks and all the fixtures that other players have, isn't it?
Yeah, get him out for Nori or one of those other ponies.
Yeah.
I mean, I must admit, I am considering Bowen out because the fixture's so bad, and they're just better option in midfield. But Cancelo, he's just not going anywhere for me. The
thing is, though, with these highly owned players, like if you jump off them at the right time, and so many people will call you crazy when you do it, but if you jump off them at the right time, honestly, like I jumped off Salah, didn't I? Three weeks before everybody else did, and obviously he blanked against Leicester, and people called me absolutely mad for doing it, and it turns out okay. So if you can do it at the right time, it can be brilliant. But Cancelo, as soon as you sell him, just don't watch the games.
No,
don't watch the games.
100% ownership. Amongst a lot of engaged managers. So every point is that point against you. Every single point. If you don't own him, and he is constantly. Look, there we go. I mean, he's a defender. It's crazy. Yeah. He's had 6 shots inside the box, 4 of those on target. And for a defender, that's it. It would just worry me too much. I'm just quite happy to have him in there. Broja is there, due a goal. Che Adams has actually been scoring, but Broja is due according to the shots inside the box 11. And then bringing up the rear is Diaz with 8 shots inside the box, shots on target 5, and he's just looks so impressive, doesn't he? He's just like ready made.
He's fitting in very nicely there, isn't he?
I think for 8, it's a tricky price, 8 million, because then you could start thinking, well, Jota might be back, but then you could think, well, you've got Alexander-Arnold Robertson combo, haven't you? And I mean that's what I've got. I can't see past that in terms of getting points, but I wish we could get 4 Liverpool players in FPL.
Oh, it's the same every year, isn't it? We always want that 4th one. Like, and it is. It's it would be lovely. I would obviously have Robbo, Trent, Salah, and then someone like Diaz would be quite nice to have a little punt on, wouldn't it?
Let's have a look at the community team that we've got. So this is the team that every week you say I should wildcard, every week I don't. But it's currently on a free hit. It's currently on well over 50 points, and it's on a nice green arrow of. So we're back into the 260k. I think we were 300 and something. So we're shooting up the table. So this is what we've got. So we've got a wildcard, a bench boost, and another free hit in hand as well. So this is the team that we're going into the game week with. So this is the team that you hate. It's got Dennis and King, Ronaldo up front in a 4-3-3 with Salah, Saka, Bowen, and then at the back we've got Target, double game week, Cancelo, Alexander-Arnold, Davis, who has a double game week next week, and Foster's double game week this week, Ramsdale on the bench, Dallo, Trossard, who has a double game week next week, Douglas Luiz, who can definitely go even though he's got a double game week. So I look at that and I just think 4-point hit. I just look at that and I just look at that and I go 4-point hit, save the wild card. Ronaldo out, maybe Dallo, and get something like Rudiger and Che Adams. I think that would set us up really nicely. You hate it, don't you?
I do. Yeah, I do. I've said it before. I look at Dennis and King and I just think I don't see points in those 2 fixtures at all, even though we've got a double game week. Yeah. I look at so many of these players and just think I would want rid of them, basically. Yeah. And I just feel like we could be using a chip and really maximising the next 3-4 weeks. That's how I felt. But then, like I said, I've said that the last few weeks, but I think I'm a little bit clouded because obviously that's what I've done and that's been my tactic. So that's maybe why I'm a little bit like that. But I look at it and I think with the chips we've got left, we could be really maximising what we've got.
Okay. Well, this is a hastily put together community wildcard team that I was thinking. So we've got to think from game up to game week 38 really in mind, but obviously we've got transfers before then, and we could possibly bench boost coming up soon, or this also sets us up a bit. Well, we've got a free hit, so we can play that in game week 30. But this is that combination that you mentioned about Sanchez and Ramsdale. Sanchez has a double game week, so we could wildcard this, and then we could bench boost next week for Sanchez and Ramsdale. Both goalkeepers play twice. Ben White, I think, is really super handy at 4.5 for that Arsenal defence. Alexander-Arnold going nowhere. Cancelo going nowhere. Rudiger looks absolutely key, especially if they double and going forward. And Walker-Peters, we got the money, so why mess around with Bednarak and Livramento? Walker-Peters looks the one to get. Across the midfield, we've gone for Ramsey, because I think with Villa, sort of dipping our toe in Villa, and he's cheap. Saka, Maddison, Salah obviously going nowhere, and Rafinha you mentioned. We're taking a bit of a, I'd say a bit of a gamble, but it's a sort of a calculated gamble on one of the best players in the Premier League. And up front, and this might raise eyebrows, as I said, I sort of hastily did this, but it's got merit. Kane, I think it's good to have Kane. I think it's hard to get Kane in. If you wildcarding, Kane in could be good if you can afford it. Yeah. If not, Son is your next guy to get for Spurs. We've gone for Adams Ambrosia. I think Che Adams Ambrosia, they both got double game week this week. Obviously, same team. They could have game week 30 as well, which we could save the free hit for. I don't know. I couldn't think of any other strikers, really. I couldn't think of any. I mean, for Brosia's sort of price, I think Adams the best at that price. I mean, at Broja, you're looking at Dennis or King.
Yeah, I was just trying to look at how many you would have for 30 for game week 30.
1, 2,
3.
If Southampton play 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, okay. We would have 9 if Southampton are through, and obviously I wouldn't go for this many Southampton if they weren't through. And so you've got 9, and you could just use another transfer to get 10. I think 10.
So I think this would be the play, and then if you can, then bench boost next week, because bench boost after a wild card is always the most powerful. And then if you can keep the team exactly like it is, roll, and then use one of your transfers in 30, and then have 2 free transfers ready for 31. I think sounds great. Yeah.
Anguilla says 2 Southampton forwards rethink. Well, tell me, for a better striker than Broja for 5.5, and you will tell me it's Dennis or King, and we will reject that. So that's what we're playing with here. But Che Adams currently is the best at that price.
I suppose the only other one in there is, and someone's just mentioned it in the chat actually, is Maddison. He's the first one I looked at and thought, is that a little bit early? Could you wait for him maybe?
Okay, so Rafinha could be Maddison, so we could... I mean, we could look at that. So that's definitely something to look at. Lots of people are saying Wolves. Well, you know, who's good for Wolves to get long term as well? If you're wildcarding now, I can't see any value in getting Wolves players in. I mean, they got a double, but you're going to get Jimenez is 5 points a game. Nori might play. Semedo's out. Jose Zar maybe. But,
I think that looks good. I think that's a good way forward personally. I think we can make a few tweaks whatever, but I think that's probably the best way to go forward.
RJ Moon in the live chat, he also has Adams and Broja in his wildcard draft, so clearly we're not alone here, and he's probably come to that same conclusion. If you're looking for a cheap third striker, it's got to be Broja, isn't it? I mean, there's just no others.
It's not awful,
and I like this team. It's a nice mix. It's got a couple of premiums in Salah and Kane, and it's got a nice mix of those mid-price assets. And we haven't got rid of Cancelo or Alexander-Arnold as well, which I think are ideal players. So we're quite happy with that. We're going to talk about our bus teams. Now I can't remember what I mentioned to people in the live. You've actually got COVID now, so
yes.
If anyone wants to have a pop at us in the comments, this guy's ill, mate. He's giving up his time for recuperating for this to give advice. So there we go. Are you up for mining the live chat for questions?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to chat about my bus team while Andy has a look at the live chat. So all those in the live chat, do ask your very brief questions now, and we're going to give sort of yes, no, very, very quick answers to them. So Andy's going to look at that now. So fire away with your questions, and I will kill a bit of time by talking about my bus team.
Lovely.
Which will probably make Andy vomit because it's got a King and Dennis in it. But
always.
But so okay, I've got a Rams. This is currently it's a bus team, so in case I get run over, I've got Ramsdale at the back, Alexander-Arnold, Cancelo, Robertson, Livramento, who's a double game week, Salah with the armband on him currently, Fernandes, Saka, King, Watkins and Dennis. So King, Watkins and Dennis all have a double game week, so I'm quite happy to play them. On my bench, this is why I'm not bench boosting, I've got Steele, Bowen, although Bowen quite good, but it's against Liverpool, so I'm betting, I'm partly betting against Bowen getting something, but it's partly because I've got double Liverpool defence, so I don't want to sort of hedge my bets. I'm just going to go full on. I think Liverpool are going to keep a clean sheet and get attacking returns from those two. I've got Martinelli. One of my Arsenal players has got to drop to the bench. Watford's defence can be quite resilient, so I think Saka and Martinelli might be a tiny bit overkill, but that will be a massive regret when he gets 2 goals. And Diop, who doesn't play. So my options here are Fernandes and King out for Son. Gives me a good player for next week and this week. And King out for Che Adams, who could be my captain. So it'll be between Salah and Che Adams. If I can't afford Che Adams and Southampton still playing, I may go for Brozier. Or I might end up keeping Josh King and going for basically Fernandes is my cash cow here, and I might end up doing something like a minus 4 with Fernandes and Diop, and basically Diop to someone like Rudiger, who I might end up captaining, and then Fernandes to whatever I can get in the midfield. So that could be Rafinha, it could be Ramsey. So we'll see there. There was something I know that Andy might speak about with his team, that I could take a -8 and have a very, very credible bench boost, but then I'm thinking, well, what? I'm immediately taking -8 points away from that bench boost. But that bench boost could be something like Mendy or Sarr, Bowen, Martinelli, and improving Diop to perhaps Rudiger. Let's see. But I just don't like the idea of a -8 on a bench boost because I'm already taking away 8. I just don't. It doesn't sit right with me. Do you have any questions, do you think?
We do.
Okay.
So
do you want to go with them and then we'll look at your... Do you want to talk about your team first and then...
Yeah, shall I do it really quickly? Because I could do it really quickly.
What, your team? All the questions?
Yeah. We'll talk about my team really quickly.
Okay. So do you want to just go through the players that you've got and your decisions?
Yeah, no problem. So... so I'm most likely going to be bench boosting this week as well because I like the single game week fixtures as well as my double game week fixtures. It was a choice between this week or next week, but I think I'm going to go with this week because of those single game week fixtures. I am either going to be taking a -4 or -8 this week. Most likely, to be honest, I'm torn between the two. It's whether I take Cancelo out. Now, Cancelo did very, very well against Man United when he played against them before, so it could be that I just keep him in. But
keep him in.
If Chelsea double, it's whether I bring Rudiger in, but I don't know yet. Neither playing 30 either, so there's a lot of things going through my head. Bowen will be leaving for Rafinha. I don't like Bowen's fixtures moving forward. West Ham have been slowing down anyway, and I feel like Rafinha, lovely fixtures, and he plays in 30. And then it will be Edouard out for Che Adams as well. And then I quite like my team for a bench boost this week. I think it's absolutely fine. I think I will then be have lovely fixtures next week for all the doubles as well, and I've got players that I'm happy to bench next week. So I'm quite happy. Captaincy's up in the air still for me. It could go anywhere, to be honest. Could go Salah, Adams, could go Rafinha, could go anywhere. So
I feel I think whether it pans out or not, one of the better moves I've made this season was matching a lot of wildcarders and yourself a couple of weeks ago and loading up on Liverpool and Arsenal. because they are it's so nice to see them, with good fixtures. You've got lots of choice, and then they've got all these doubles as well. And going into game week 29 with triple Arsenal and Liverpool with the double game weeks there, Ramsdale getting save points, even though they play each other, it's still a nice feeling having that rare players. We got some quick fire questions.
We do. So here we go. Andy Max says 1 week punt. Ward-Prowse or Rafinha?
Ward-Prowse.
Ooh,
who did you go for? He said
Rafinha
1 week.
For me.
He said 1 week punt.
Yeah, 1 week. Yeah.
Double game
I
week.
go Rafinha on
Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, double game week for Rafinha as well.
It's like two Twix bars together. Double game week and Ward-Prowse. JWP,
Tashi. Tashi. This is another one. ASM? Question mark.
Well, ASM.
That was ASM, not SNM.
ASM. ASM. Well, it will be SNM if he doesn't play. It will feel like that anyway.
So what you saying? Yes or no? ASM.
If he's fit, go for it. But if he's not, there's no point.
Yeah, I'm a no because I doubt he would be fit. Yeah. Andy Max says Diaz or Jota.
Diaz or Jota? I would say Diaz at the moment. Neither though. Ooh. Robertson, Alexander-Arnold and Salah I think is the triple up.
Neither for me. Kamsi, Rafinha, Willock or Havertz?
Was it again Rafinha?
Rafinha, Willock or Havertz?
Rafinha.
Ooh, yeah, I think Rafinha as well. Tashi says Hwang or Broja?
Broja.
Yeah.
Although Hwang is obviously an option. He is in that, but I look at Hwang and it just looks like regrets.
Yeah. Andrew King, Gordon on Wildcard for bench boost 29.
Yes. Good move. Yeah. If you like him or Ramsey, I think. Yeah. Him or Ramsey.
Deceptive Banana says Reece James on Wildcard, yay or nay?
No, I wouldn't. Not on a wild card. Not on a wild card. It's worth it punt if it was a free hit or short term, but I don't know about his minutes.
Yeah, nay for me as well.
Yeah.
Niraj says must have Chelsea players if they double. I think we've kind of covered that already, haven't we?
Rudiger. I mean, I wouldn't even say he's a must have. The one to get would be Rudiger, and take your pick of the others.
Elliot Lander, Doherty on is Doherty an option with fixtures?
Well, Doherty's one of those players that when we do our tables, and I used to, particularly last season, I like to do these unfashionable picks tables because players like, remember when Luke Shaw suddenly became good, and he was he'd been creeping up my tables. Chris Wood as well was on there last season, and this season's version of Chris Wood is Doherty. Who is creeping up there, and he was there on those tables, and he's indeed getting returns. A double game week next week. I would say if you've got a free hit in 30, yes, and if you've got a wild card, yes, but why not?
I'd struggle to get in a player just because of how they played against Leeds at the moment. That's the only problem.
Well, and also it's him.
Exactly.
But he had been putting in the numbers for the rest of the only caveat I would give is that I personally would not get any Spurs defender, a fullback or wing back because they just put in so much work. I don't think they can muster 2 games in a week effectively. I mean, they might play, but I think you're going to get one good, one bad game out of them.
Yeah. Ryan Adams says Tony or Dennis.
Neither. Dennis at the moment.
Yeah, Tony looks like he's back now though. Never know.
Yeah, no, Dennis for this week, but I'd neither are long term picks.
Yeah, and that's it.
Okay. You feel you've answered those as well as you were going along, or? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Excellent. So we're all right then. You need to go and recuperate. You got COVID.
I'm going to go and lie down.
Okay. Thanks so much, Andy. Thanks so much for all your insight into the coming double game week. Thanks all of those that joined us in the live chat. Good luck with the game week. Good luck with your captaincy decisions. Good luck with all your chips and transfers and all of those other things. But in the meantime, until next time, see you later.
Bye.